Our moderator for the next panel is Andrew Ball. Andrew Ball of San Mateo is the West Region President of Suffolk Construction, a privately held building contractor providing pre-construction, construction management, design build, and general contracting services to clients in the healthcare, science and technology, education, federal government, and commercial sectors. Previously, he was president and CEO of Webcore Builders, one of the largest general contractors in the nation, and a leader in green building. Mr. Ball is a board member of the Silicon Valley Leadership Group and involved in industry organizations including the San Francisco Center for Economic Development, the Building Industry Conference Board, and the San Francisco Planning and Urban Development Group, Stanford Center for Integrated Facility Engineering, and UC Berkeley Center for the Built Environment. He is also an appointed California Water Commissioner. The California Water Commission consists of 9 members appointed by the governor and confirmed by the state senate. 7 members are chosen for their general expertise related to the control, storage, and beneficial use of water, and 2 are chosen for their knowledge of the environment. The commission provides a public forum for discussing water issues and advises the Department of Water Resources, and takes appropriate statutory actions to further the development of policies that support integrated and sustainable water resources management and a healthy environment. Please welcome Andrew Ball.
When I tell people I'm on the California Water Commission, the first thing is, oh, you're on the water board. Well, what does that do? And I have to explain to them, no, the Water Commission is different. It's actually been reconstituted since 2009 when the Goldie bill came out. And we decided we need to get serious about looking after the state water project, which was really the responsibility of the Water Commission originally. It's not done a lot, I would say, in the last 5 years, but its degree of importance is going to increase substantially if and when I hope that we get what will be Prop 1 in November passed. And that is the old Cogdill bond, which has now been reconstituted as the Renton bond. And that happened when Jerry Brown got involved and he decided to look at what the voters really wanted, what they were willing to pass. And the voters in their polling showed that they were not willing to pass anything more than about a $7 billion bond. So the likelihood, even in these drought years, of a water bond passing at $11.1 billion, which is where the Cogdill bill was pretty remote. So I'm very encouraged that there is a better public perception out there, but everybody here needs to get out there and say, Prop 1, we need to vote yes on that. That's important. Our water system in the state of California has been oversubscribed and underfunded for a number of years. And even this expenditure, which will be broken down into water storage, groundwater monitoring, and recharge, a variety of other things relative to the Safe, Clean, Reliable Water Act to promote reliable water supply and make sure that we don't have quite as many problems as we have had in the past. But that's not to say that if things don't change, meaning that if our cloud storage doesn't improve, our snowpack doesn't improve, if it doesn't start raining, we're going to have a lot of trouble. I was just up in Sacramento at the Water Commission on Wednesday, and Director Cowan will be the keynote speaker later on, and I'm sure that we'll go over many of these same things. But Bill Croyle of the Department of Water Resources, the drought manager that's been assigned, got up and spoke and made a presentation to us. And I don't know how many of you know what is worse than an extreme drought. Does anybody know what's worse than an extreme drought? An exceptional drought. Now, I don't know who came up with that wording, but when you see these pictures that show the really dark colors for most of California, that really dark color, the darkest color, that's exceptional. Okay, so you remember that. You'll be a water expert now. The state was in an extreme drought condition until July, and a lot of the state moved into the exceptional classification based upon the hot temperatures that we had in July and in August. And we also went through, one of the other things we looked at were the reservoir conditions. And the main reservoirs throughout Northern California are anywhere from 11% capacity to 35% capacity. Most of them are sort of around 20% capacity. So I said, well, what happens if we don't get any more rain and we continue to use water at the current rate? How long will our capacity last? Or in other words, when will we run out of water? The answer to that, 1 year. 1 year. Now that's frightening to me, and it should be frightening to all of you. We definitely need to take action. And so there's been a lot of good comments made today, a lot of good ideas, but I think that if we continue with this drought, and this is important to understand with all the droughts that we've had, this is the third worst drought in the history of the state of California. The fourth worst drought was a year before. Most of these droughts occur after a period of 5 to 7 wet years, and so we can build up that water storage. They don't last more than about 3 to 5 years. But we have had a number of different conditions here that really make this one of the worst. Moving on, I am going to introduce what is a really good and diverse group of panelists and ask them to come down here and join me. From the high technology sector, Drew Sherwood, Northern California Facility Operations and Services Manager of Google. There it is. Chair, make yourself comfortable. Next up in the sports and recreation area, Bill Barron, partner, Brandenburg Properties, Cinnabar Hills Golf Course. From the residential sector, Jeff Oberdorfer, CEO, First Community Housing. And from the landscaping sector, Duna, Vice President of ValleyCrest Landscaping. Okay, so I was told that we overran this morning and that we need to be brief in your comments. It's the same, to the point. So I'm going to start off with the first question. Can you tell us about your organization and what you've done to respond to the drought? And you can come up here, or you can just stay where you are and pass the microphones around. And yes, you can use slides. Where's it going? You don't. You're just gonna go to it. Okay. You're up first.
All right. Great. Well, thanks everyone. Thanks for having us here today. So my name is Drew Sherwood, and I manage our facility operations and services division for Google's Northern California real estate portfolio. So while I'm up here on my own today, I'm only one member of a pretty amazing and diverse facilities team that represents at Google. But we all share one common core value, and that is to really strive to be a leader when it comes to sustainability. So in my world, that desire to be a conservation leader has focused on several areas, including things like electrical consumption, waste reduction, smart material selection, and most importantly, in today's climate, comes down to water and how we manage our water resources. So we know that our choices have incredibly big impacts due to the size of our portfolio. So as you may know, Google's got some real estate. We're kind of a big player in real estate here in the whole Silicon Valley area. We're also rapidly expanding. And this means that our practices today have an even bigger impact as we continue to acquire property. So we take this very seriously. And even though I sit just a few desks away from our real estate acquisitions expert, that's thanks to my friends at the Silicon Valley Business Journal, that I often find out about what properties are being added to our portfolio. So thank you for that. Thanks for keeping my colleagues on their toes. You often, even though Google's an information delivery company, but you're often faster than my own colleagues. Thanks. So unless you know something that I don't, as of this morning, we have about several million square feet of real estate spread across San Francisco, San Bruno, Palo Alto, Redwood City, Mountain View, where our heaviest concentration is, and now into Sunnyvale. These locations house a lot of people. These people eat a lot of food in our cafes. They drink a lot of beverages. And those two activities lead to healthy activity in our restrooms. And I am convinced, and my facilities team, we track a lot of this stuff, we're convinced that our flush rate is pretty darn high. So we know that that's a big area. People bike commute to work. We have fitness programs, sports leagues, we have dance classes, and many a rhythmically challenged coder might have participated in hip hop, an analytical approach. These people get their sweat on when they come to Google, and that leads to a lot of showers. And when you have as many people as we do, crammed into small spaces, showers matter. We care a lot about indoor air quality as well at Google, so it's important that those people shower up. And what good is showering if you don't have clean clothes? So we've got laundry facilities as well. We got all these laundry facilities across Google as well. Add in hand washing, food production, our HVAC infrastructure, things like cooling towers. It's a ton of water consumption. And we haven't even gone outside yet. So you look outdoors, when you carve out our building footprints in our parking lots, over 300 acres of landscape that needs to be maintained across our portfolio. Talking about thousands of irrigation heads, drip lines, all kinds of areas that we could be bad stewards of our water resources if we're not making the right choices. There's over 7,000 trees in our canopy that we're really focused on right now during the drought, making sure we maintain the health of that canopy, which is important for the wildlife in our area, and at the same time, we're not wasting resources. I know how many trees we have because I made Nada's team count them all. So we do contract with ValleyCrest. So clearly our choices have a huge impact. But luckily, as a company first, and also as a facilities team, this is something that's always been incredibly important to Google, to be great stewards of our environment. But are we paying more attention now as of the drought? Absolutely. So what have we done? A few years ago, we started a 3-stage plan. Number 1 started with just how can we reduce consumption, reduce it as much as possible, as quickly as possible, with the least amount of investment as possible. And that started with shifting minds. It started with education. On my team, as well as broadly with our population. So with my team, the facilities team, it started with extreme vigilance. We talked a lot about leaks in some of the earlier panels. Leaks matter. They're huge. So we have a work order system that many of my facilities friends in the audience are probably familiar with. People file tickets and whatnot. I set aggressive key performance indicators with my vendors for ticket completion time. If we let faucets that they're leaking, or if we have irrigation that's leaking, we're sending a terrible message to our population that it's not important, and that then their choices on water use doesn't matter either. So we've set out to aggressively fix those issues, make it a priority. We've really held our vendors' feet to the fire on that. And something that they've actually kind of taken up the torch for, and they're excited now to deliver, their resolution time on these things for us. That has a big impact. And then education for our people. Googlers love information. So we started by querying them as well. Hey, here's what we're doing. We built some extensive resources that we published to the population with the help of our internal comms team. Things that have facts about water use in California, kind of where some of the biggest drivers are. What's going on with the drought? Suggestions for work at home. And then what we were really doing from a facilities team to kind of myth bust some of the perceptions of how we were managing things, and then we opened it up to their feedback as well. We went super low tech. I had my teams go around in the mornings, write messages on bathroom windows or mirrors, things like, take shorter showers, just getting someone to think about it right before that point of use. We put little shower timers in restrooms as well, so that as people are in there, they can see the little stands ticking through, and if you're at 5 minutes, you should be done. My teenage son does not seem to believe you can take a shower in 5 minutes, but it can't be done. So, super low tech, things like that have impact, and our hope was that people would take some of these things and bring it back into their community and have a ripple effect go out. We got a lot of people, so we can change some habits that will have a big impact. We also work closely with our food teams to make smart choices as far as food production. So then, once we have the low-hanging fruit, drive efficiencies in our infrastructure. So we looked at where our water footprint really was, and about 60% of it was exterior, irrigation. So we started kind of like Project Turf Genocide. We were like, just get rid of as much turf as we can, you know, just get rid of it. We inherited all these properties that had kind of an antiquated view of what the environment should look like. So we started doing a ton of turf conversion, you know, picking plants to replace it from the bay-friendly list, you know, hydrozoning, doing different things that would really drive down our need to irrigate. We also went through and standardized our water delivery system to a hydropoint system that uses a WeatherTech ET style, or evapotranspiration controller. These are irrigation controllers that are amazing to get, depending on where you're at, it'll sync up and get an actual weather download that tells you, you know, it proactively shuts things off before it rains, you know, with the addition of hygrometers, flow meters, and master valves. Our system is really proactive versus us having to go around and physically turn off things, and that's been a huge driver for us on exterior irrigation. We also looked interior then as well, where it was much harder to drive some efficiencies. You know, all of our faucets went to auto. We tested various flow rates for all of our faucets. We went with a 0.5 GPM mesh filter. This is based on a lot of engineers giving us feedback that, oh, if you out speed. We're very efficient and excited. I'm usually behind the scenes. It's a lot of fun. So, and we went around, we reduced all kinds of consumption in our interior restrooms. Washing machines, a typical washing machine, 40 gallons per load. Forget it, we can do better. We went with a high efficiency front loading model across the full campus, 20 gallons. Cut our water consumption for laundry sub in half. Piloting new products. We're piloting a new shower head that supposedly can deliver a refreshing shower with only 0.4 GPM. Tiny amount using atomized water. We'll see how that goes. Recycled water has been huge. That was our last step, was recapture and reuse. And this is the area that we're really focused on now, recapture and reuse. And in partnership with the Palo Alto Regional Water Quality Control Plant, we've integrated an immense amount of recycled water on our property. Great results there. We're also looking at reclamation, you know, gray water techniques for different areas of the campus. So that's a little bit of all we're doing. We've got a lot more things on tap. We're really excited about this area, and I'm looking forward to hearing more, hearing what else we can do. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much, Drew. I mean, it's amazing what Google is doing, and you're really setting a standard for everybody else to follow. It's admirable. I know there's a lot of things that you didn't get to that I know about, and thank you so much for that.
A lot of great partners, so we couldn't do what we're doing without a number of people that have made advances in the field, developing technologies. I get a heart as to a lot of the great work that I'm sure people in this room are responsible for. So,
and there's no lack of enthusiasm there. All right, so the next one up, it would be a hard act to follow, right? Bill, you are now up here.
Forward somewhere. Terrific, thank you. Well, good morning. My name is Bill Barron. I'm a partner with Cinnabar Hills Golf Club in San Jose. There we go. A little bit about Cinnabar Hills. It's one of 31 golf courses in Santa Clara County. It is one of the very few privately funded golf courses open to the public. Many of them are municipally owned, for example. We opened in 1998. We're located in the South San Jose area around the Claro County Park recreational area and certainly recreational use. We host about 80,000 golf rounds a year, about 100,000 visitors a year, and that includes guests of weddings and bar mitzvahs and birthdays and other events that we host in our golf club. We have about 100 golf tournaments a year, large-scale golf tournaments that support many nonprofits that many of us in this room all support, together with corporate events. And thankfully and appreciatively, we've been recognized by the readers of Mercury News and the Metro as for 12 years, I think, with Mercury News, is Silicon Valley's best public golf course and best place to host a wedding. So we appreciate all that recognition together with a number of national and regional awards. We're a local ownership group, many of which are sitting at the table, Mark Cinnabar Hills, and because of that, not that non-local ownership should mean a difference, but we think that local ownership should be something about community engagement, community responsibility, being proactive as well as reactive. In terms of our operational approach with the golf club, has always been really don't use more than what we need. We've operated a golf course that's always been viewed as firm and fast in the industry, which is something that not all golf courses can be. So if you want to hit longer shots, come out to Cinnabar Hills. You'll hit the longest drives you've ever hit. We're known as that because of initially the turf grass that was selected for the golf club. Doesn't require as much water as some others. It's because we utilize a very sophisticated irrigation system, computer controlled, that reads everything. It's because we have our superintendent, Brian Boyer, who is, in the lay terms, he's a superintendent, but practically he's a scientist. And he manages our turf as such. But regardless of all that, we're in a new paradigm. And in February 2014, when the district announced the water conservation measures, Cinnabar jumped at the opportunity to be engaged, and we did so. We created our commitment to community. This graphic went up on our website in February, and we've held to it ever since. I can tell you that since February of 2014, we have reduced our water use by at least 20% every month, and our average, I'm pleased to report, as of today, is 24.1%. So our efforts, thank you. So our efforts are paying off, and we hope others continue to task themselves with doing what's right for the community. This drought, no question about it, is a historic situation. We all got to deal with it together. So a number of things that we've done in order to conserve are not dissimilar from earlier comments made. Clearly, it's simply reducing water usage. That's kind of the easy part, but it's on all the details that make so much of the difference. We've stopped irrigated out-of-play areas. We've changed our water strategy with deeper root watering. We've changed irrigation start times later in the evening so that moisture content remains longer in the soil during the peak hot spells of the day. You can see the list. I won't go over all of them, but we've got 2,500 irrigation nozzles at Cinnabar. So the management of this system is intensive, but it's worth it. And a variety of things, wetting agents, calcium additives to the soil, more deep root aeration that allows the water to get deeper into the soil in the root zone so as to produce better turf grass. We also have taken advantage of the district's program of turf grass removal, in addition to all the elements that we've employed at Cinnabar for water conservation. We've removed about 78,000 square feet of irrigated turf grass permanently. As far as we're concerned, this is a moment in time, but it's a paradigm shift in how we operate the facility. We're here not just for today's drought, but the long-term nature of water conservation. So at the clubhouse, a variety of things. We're serving water only on request, sweeping versus hosing, washing golf carts only once a day versus after every use, which has been our historic practice. And then in terms of communication with customers and the water district, a variety of elements at our disposal. We have a strong email mailing list of over 20,000 that we immediately communicated with in February and continue that outreach to them, educating them on drought awareness, driving them to the district website, as well as customers that visit our facility with signage. In fact, we've got a number of brown is the new green signs on the golf course. When you go out and play, you'll see them. We have the QR code linked to the Santa Clara Valley Water District website at all the table tents. So if you go in and enjoy lunch, click your phone and you'll be directed right to the drought page of the water district. And we also provide updated reports monthly to the water district that identify the ET rate, the high temperature, and the precipitation, together with our quantification of water savings each month. We report out on around the 1st to the 4th of the month. to the district to keep them aware of what we're doing. In the industry, our general manager is a member of the state board, as well as our superintendent on the superintendent board. So we are engaged with the industry. And as far as next steps are concerned, for us, it's really a future whose time has come. We're working with the water district to advance the concept of recycled water further south into San Jose. Happy to report that we're working with them towards an MOU in that regard. And we're hopeful that Cinnabar Hills very soon will be served with recycled water, which we all know is really the sole recycle or the sole sustainable source for uses such as the golf club. And a few examples quickly. This is our driving range pre-drought from an aerial view. The tee box on the bottom right-hand corner, the landing area of the driving range out at the bottom of the picture. And there you see what our driving range looks like today. And here's another example of number 3 of our lake golf course, the initial landing area from an aerial view. And you can see over here to the right side of the picture what is the pre-landing area now in the non-irrigated area. This is number 3 of our mountain course. And you can see number 3 of the mountain course, the pre-landing area as well as the roughs on the right and left side. Here is number 7 and number 9 of our mountain course. And the rough area is on the left side of 9, and the area is in front of number 7. And this is number 5 tee of our lake course. And so these are just examples of what are consistent throughout our golf club in response to the drought. And we appreciate the work of the water district, the board, the professional staff. I don't think until crises do we really appreciate and understand the significance of what the water district role is in our community and how fortunate our community is, contrasted with so many others throughout the state of California. So we appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Now we know why they call them greens. That might be the only thing left out there in this group. Next up, representing residential is Jeff Oberdorfer.
Thank you. Changing gears a little bit. First Community Housing is a nonprofit affordable housing developer. You've probably seen some of our properties throughout Santa Clara County. Hopefully you've looked at them and not thought they were affordable housing, because we feel the highest compliment is when somebody tells us, I love that building, I had no idea it was affordable housing. One of the things that we've been doing lately is focusing a lot on water quality and water conservation. We had the first vegetated green roof in Santa Clara County 6 years ago. We're now on our 3rd green roof, just put one in Salinas, finished this year. And our past 3 projects have been LEED Platinum. So we're really looking at deep green as far as our commitment to sustainability. I wanted to focus today, though, on one property we have where we're trying to use the district's rebate program to convert a 7-acre property, which is Los Esteros, out on Old Oakland Road. It's 246 units of affordable rental housing. So what we've been doing since this building was built 18 years ago and has a great deal of mature kind of corporate landscape is to convert the lawn areas to either indigenous water-saving plants or to other kinds of uses besides landscape. In this situation, this is the community room, and we took out the existing landscape and put in a rain garden. And basically what a rain garden does is takes the existing downspouts, disconnects them from the sewer and the storm lines, and basically puts in rocks and other kinds of plants that thrive in this situation. Sometimes the water is stored below grade and reused, sometimes it just goes into the aquifer. So this is a project funded by the property itself. This is a fruit orchard. This was a fairly large grass area that we thought was wasted. It was lawn that was irrigated. We took out the irrigation, put in drip irrigation, and planted fruit trees that the kids use and get the crops themselves and do some of the planting and harvesting. This is some lawn replacement. You can see this is Old Brooklyn Road on the top left. You can see the amount of lawn area. This property is 7 acres, so it goes back another 2 streets deep in depth that has a 15-foot lawn sod that goes the length of the property, which related to the scale of the property was appropriate 18 years ago. But now we're using the district rebates to take out the lawn and put in water-saving plants and controlled irrigation. So with that, I want to end quickly and just give some ideas here, is that for us in a nonprofit, the district rebates are absolutely critical because many of our properties don't cash flow enough for us to do this. We wish they did. The next step we have is we're taking a look at some of the parking we have, which because we give out free passes to VTA or all tenants, we actually have some extra parking. We're looking at taking out those parking spaces and putting in bioswales to filter the rainwater off the asphalt streets into the storm drains. And we're looking for grants to do that now. We're doing it at about 5 different properties that have surface parking. And we see that as really the next step, is how to reuse surface parking on some of these older properties. So with that, thank you.
I think we have to change that to the no rain garden in the future. Next up, we have Duna.
Thank you all for being here. I'm a senior vice president for ValleyCrest companies, and I've been in the company for about 27 years. Our company has been in business for 65 years, providing landscape management services, water management services, construction, and all aspects of sustainability in the landscape. I did want to say that when I first started in the company, I worked on the San Jose Water Company sites, which we still maintain, and I used to run around the water tanks because our controllers did not have remote control, so we had to flip it on and run around and then check all of that. And also wanted to point out that in 1988, I hired the first, or we hired as a company in Northern California, our first irrigation technician, which was a big novelty at the time. So we have about 10,000 employees, and at the time we started with 1 irrigation technician. We have about over 1,500 irrigation technicians, over 150 water certifications in just in Northern California. And we manage sites all over, from campus site facilities like Google and homeowners type dwellings such as the villages and the San Jose Water Company. But I want to talk a little bit, and I'll try to be as brief. Year to date, we have worked on saving about over 82 million gallons of water. We have converted about 36 acres of turf to non-turf, and we have mulched over 67 acres of landscape that was planted before, and we've upgraded over 262,000 water delivery units. And just want to talk about how we did that. So 3 different things. Number 1 is employee education. And we have taken the 2,500 gardeners that we have in Northern California, and we've gone through some training where in the past our irrigation technicians were responsible for all water management techniques. We felt that the frontline people that deliver services in every day, every minute, on every square foot of sites needed to be trained. So we've done that, and we've given them tools in terms of nozzles and all delivery unit tools, and we're in the process actually of instituting an award system for water conservation that they will actually be responsible for. So that's been it's a shift in terms of who we train, and we train the people that are going to deliver these services. Second is the customers. We've done a lot of webinars trying to educate the customers on what needs to be done. And the toughest challenge has been, you can save water, you can save the environment, you can actually save headaches, and you can save a lot of money. So we've tried to quantify what the savings could be in terms of per square foot. So we have actually webinars that are on a portal that we sponsor, where clients can get a lot of information. Third is we've done a lot of connection with the irrigation contractors, because one of the things that the communities don't do is partner with vendors. And we've tried to give some ideas about what is important, so whatever irrigation products we get in the future are actually going to work for our industry, which is the landscape industry, which is the largest user, as we know, of water. We've used a lot of, obviously, of what we call smart controllers, and working on some other aspects of managing the water delivery per sprinkler or water unit, which is kind of what's going to happen next in terms of technology. I think, we've taken advantage of a lot of the rebate programs, and, we've done a lot to educate the public, the community, even our employees and their families on, brown can look green. The other thing that we've done with customers especially is quantify that, your most important assets are trees and others. Grass can come back very, very easily, and we've gotten to the point of, in some spaces, where the water actually cost per square foot is 1 cent per square foot, which is basically a lot of money. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to figure out if you're still awake out there. We're going to ask you a question that you get to respond to. And the question is your organization devoting more resources to water management in response to the drought? And that's going to be another texting question. So when you get the correction there, just hit the little X and it'll go away. A lot more. In climate. That's good. Everybody's a lot more. As soon as I said that, we got some mores and about the same. So in the interest of time, we're going to be efficient. We're going to actually do two things at the same time, if we can pull it off. And while you're still responding to that, I'm going to ask question number 2 here. And although I think that this might have been responded to somewhat in the first question, Drew, you get another chance here to really focus in on what are some of the best practices out of all those wonderful things that you mentioned. Really zero in on what makes the most difference and some of the lessons that you've learned in going through all these things that you can pass on and share with the group today.
Yeah, I think as I shared during my talk, for us it really came down to a few things. We had the biggest impact in just total gallons with our adoption of recycled water, which is something that we're incredibly excited about, continuing to use appropriately throughout the environment. But also, the theme around education just continues to ring home. And I think that's something that every one of us that operates a facility can do with our population. It's not capital intensive to really educate and change behavior, and it has the ability to have a really huge impact. And there's so many great resources from both the Santa Clara Valley Water District, our team had the ability to tour their new RO treatment plant that's there that's going to introduce more recycled water in the facility, our wider infrastructure. Our other partners that are out there, it's just, there's so many great resources, and connecting people to it, the impact can be huge, not just in our environments, but hopefully as well in people's communities and in their personal homes.
That's great. Thank you so much. With everything you've done out there, in knowing that you've got a lot of grass, more than anybody else, with just focusing in, what's made the biggest impact for you?
Yeah, I think clearly the firm and fast approach. There's so many golf courses that people can play that find muddy spots and wet spots where the ball gets embedded. And I think the bottom line is less irrigation, firmer, faster fairways is a really important key for our industry. I talked a couple of points about the deeper aeration issues and wetting agents that can help keep that moisture in the soil mantle. So those are I think some key elements for our industry to make sure that we follow in things.
Great, thank you. So as we all look at these low flow shower heads, I got a question for you. Do you actually spend more time in the shower because less water comes out?
No, I don't think so. I think a key for us is that we use an integrated design process when we build our buildings, and the plumber, the water folks, the landscape architect are all at the table with us up front. So these issues in new buildings are incorporated immediately. On our existing buildings like Los Esteros, which I showed, we're really focusing on conservation and water purity in the landscape.
And that's really making a big difference.
Huge difference, huge difference.
That's great. So not in landscaping, killing off lawns, it doesn't sound like something a landscaper would do. Are you now going to go back in and take all that brown grass and spray paint it green?
I don't think so. That doesn't seem very sustainable.
I've heard that's happening.
But to answer your question, there's two things that have made the biggest impact. One of them has been simple stuff, actually, such as educating, again, the gardeners that are providing services every day. There's simple things such as working with engineers so they know where to shut off the water when it happens at night. It's simple things such as turning the backflow at night because accidents are going to happen, and that saves you a lot of water. On the other non-simple stuff, it has been really education and working on uniformity of systems and convincing the public and the customers that saving water is actually beautiful. We can create a lot of beautiful landscapes through low water usage, and that has been probably one of the largest impacts in changing the thought process.
What about zero-scape?
Yeah, Zeroscape is part of it, and with in addition to Zeroscape and some of our clients that we work with, we call it biophilia, at least with some of our high-tech campuses that we work on, including but not limited to Google, which is a combination of drought-tolerant plants that actually create an environment that invites butterflies and birds and all of these things at the same time. So it's a combination.
That's great. Very good, thank you. Okay, so looking at the last results, a lot more overwhelming. That's great. That's really good to hear from you. So now we have another audience poll question related to the best practices we just discussed. Here it is. If the drought continues, what additional water-saving changes might you or your organization consider? Pick the one you're most likely to employ. Convert, install, replace, allocate, provide, research. Oh, yeah. The ones that I can't read. Thank you for that. Okay, the small print is convert, install water-conserving devices, replace appliances, allocating costs of operations differently to encourage facility conservation, providing information to company employees, and researching water innovation technologies. I get it right that time? See, we obviously didn't practice this. Just wait. Looks like convert is taking an early lead. Install's making a comeback, but no, it's going to be convert. That provides stuff. all of these things obviously are good, and they're up there because this is a good reminder that these are the things that every company should be doing. We can't all be Googles, and that's a wonderful example, but certainly there's great opportunities here, and definitely converting the landscape is the most important. Okay, we have one more question.
Yeah, well, maybe for that question.
The final question. And this is a lightning round. You will be punished if you go over 1 minute. The hook will come out. Okay, so we'll start in reverse. That's good. Drew is pointed and nodded. Okay, here you go. In 1 minute, please share with the water leaders and regulators who are here, what would you like to see or know in order to better manage today and prepare for the future?
So, number one, I think that to get information on water rebates and water conservation, you have to go through different internet sites, and so having a portal that gathers all the information for the public to have access to that in a simple, easy way would be very helpful. The second thing I had is there are a lot of training that happens for service providers, but somehow having forums for customers to come to, like the one we're having. And third is maybe potentially having an easier way of getting permits for some turf conversion and some sustainability renovations, so things that can happen a little bit faster.
Thank you very much. I think you did it in time.
Well, I think there's going to be two huge things, which will probably be mandated in the next 5 years, and that is net zero water consumption. And for multifamily housing, I think it's going to be dual plumbing systems, which means you'll have a second plumbing system where your toilets are flushed with gray water or rainwater. And this is going to be extremely expensive, and we have to figure out a way to do it because I think it's going to be mandated. The second is, for those of us who have surface parking lots, we need to get away from impervious surface and go to pervious concrete, asphalt, or pervious pavers, and let the water go through into the soil.
All good ideas. I think that recycling reclamation is become much more important in the future. Bill?
I'm on that same kick. I think legislative reform at a state level. In the development business, we deal with CEQA, California Environmental Quality Act. Public agencies and quasi-public agencies deal with it as well. But I think at this stage, we need to see regulatory reform that allows streamlining and easier permitting of projects that address recycled water advances, particularly pipeline expansions, etc., to speed that process at the state level. As well, I think it really becomes important for all of us to become aware that the renewable source of recycled water, once advanced treated, is something that can and should be drunk by all of us. And I think that the board did so on the grand opening on stage, and I think it's something whose future is here, and we need to embrace it and understand it as a public. So.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up CEQA. I think a lot of people don't realize that as opposed to protecting the environment, a lot of times it gets in the way of doing those things that are necessary to actually help the environment. So it's a good call out. Finally, Drew, 1 minute.
Yeah, my response is really in concert with my panels, my colleagues in the panel up here, and things around permitting and a more efficient way for consumers as well as business customers to get connected so that they can convert, install, and then the continued adoption of recycled water is huge, especially as Jeff mentioned. Dual plumbing is something we've really investigated, but currently.
And you're doing that on site now. You're basically collecting that for the various buildings as a district.
So definitely part of our plans for future builds and whatnot, but currently dual piping actual buildings is not something that's we've been able to accomplish yet, so I'm really looking forward to it.
That's great. All good ideas. And thank you, the panel, so much for being here today. Really, really great ideas from a variety of very different industries. So big hand for the panel.
A couple of things before we let you go. If you want to find out about any rebates, you go to save20gallons.org. All of the rebates are there. Save20gallons.org. Second, we really need to get back on our timeline here. So, according to my phone here, it is 10:25. There is a special prize. if we're all back in our seats in 7 minutes. Do you know what it is? It's $10 off your next subscription to the Business Journal. With that, oh, come on. With that, everybody,